The human soldier had traveled across many stars, but nothing prepared him for this world. The planet was filled with tall silver trees that glowed in the night, and rivers that shined like liquid glass. He had been sent here as part of an agreement between humans and the alien clan. A mission of peace, but deep in his heart he felt this place was dangerous. The air was heavy with secrets, and the people who lived here were not like anyone he had ever met. Among them were two sisters, daughters of a powerful alien leader. The first sister was bold, sharp like a blade, and her eyes carried a fire that made men nervous. She walked as if the world belonged to her, and many feared her temper. The second sister was calm, graceful and full of wisdom. She spoke with respect and carried herself with quiet strength. The human soldier noticed both, but he respected the calm one more, for she reminded him of honor and duty. But destiny has strange plans. One night, under the shining moons of the alien sky, a festival was held. The clan gathered around fire pillars that burned without smoke, and strange music filled the air. The human joined them, drinking a clear liquid that burned his throat but made his mind light. The first sister came close to him that night, her eyes shining like twin flames. She whispered words in her alien tongue, words that he half understood, promises of closeness and power. The human hesitated, but the festival was loud, the air hot, and her hand pulled him away from the crowd. They walked through glowing trees, their shadows dancing on silver leaves. His heart beat fast. Confused by her nearness, she leaned close, and her voice was soft but dangerous. "You are not like the others," she told him. "You fight, you endure, you burn inside, and I want that fire." The human should have walked away, but something in her eyes, a storm mixed with desire, held him frozen. For one moment, he forgot the second sister's calm smile. He forgot duty and he forgot honor. The first sister kissed him beneath the glowing trees, a kiss full of hunger and force. He knew it was wrong, but he did not stop her. The forest around them felt alive, as if the stars themselves watched. That night became a secret, one that would soon return to destroy his peace. When morning came, the human woke with a heavy heart. He remembered her touch, but he also remembered the look of the second sister, the one who had spoken to him with kindness and truth. Guilt spread through him like poison. He tried to act normal, joining the clan warriors in training, but he felt her burning eyes on him from a distance. The first sister smiled at him in a way that was not soft, but sharp, as if she had won something, and the second sister watched. Silent, her eyes darker than before, she did not speak of it, but he felt the distance grow like a wall between them. The human soldier understood he had stepped into a forbidden path. The first sister was dangerous, not only because of her power, but because of her ambition. She was the kind of person who used secrets as weapons, and he had given her the greatest weapon of all. The second sister was different. Her honor was strong, but now that honor was wounded, he feared he had lost something precious before it even began. That night, as he tried to sleep, he heard the first sister's voice outside his chamber. She whispered through the door, "You are mine now, human. Remember that?" His blood turned cold, for he knew this was not love, this was a trap. The stars outside shined bright, but to him the world had become darker, and in that darkness, the human realized the truth. His journey on this alien world was no longer about peace. It was about survival, desire, and choices that would change not only his fate, but the fate of two alien sisters. The forbidden encounter had begun, and there was no turning back. The human soldier thought he could bury the secret. He believed no one would ever know about that night beneath the silver trees. But secrets on this alien world had a way of growing like fire, and soon the flames began to spread. 3 days after the festival, the first sister came to him, her eyes bright and fierce. She stood close, too close, her voice sharp like a knife. "You should know, human," she said. "I carry your child." The words struck him like a blow. His breath froze, his heart raced, and the world seemed to stop moving. He tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Her lips curled into a smile, not of joy, but of power. "You belong to me now," she whispered, "and soon everyone will know." The human soldier staggered back. His mind was storming, filled with questions. Doubts and fear. Could this be true? Could a human even father a child with her kind? He had no answers, and the first sister offered none. She only laughed, a cruel, dangerous laugh, before walking away into the glowing forest, leaving him with terror in his chest. Later that evening, the clan gathered in the great hall. The air was heavy, warriors lined the walls, and the two sisters stood at the center, The human soldier entered with a pounding heart, knowing something was about to happen. The first sister raised her voice so all could hear. "I carry life within me," she declared. "And that life is half human." The hall exploded with gasps, whispers, and anger. The alien leader rose from his high seat, his eyes filled with fury. "This cannot be," he thundered. "Humans are not our kind. This is dishonor. This is shame." The human soldier stood frozen. Every eye on him, he wanted to speak, to deny, but the words would not come. The second sister's gaze burned into him, filled with hurt, betrayal, and something deeper. She did not speak, but her silence was louder than any cry. The human felt as if a blade had pierced his heart. The clan began to argue, warriors shouting, elders demanding proof. Some said the human should be executed. Others said he must marry the first sister. The hall was chaos, voices rising like thunder. The human soldier finally stepped forward, his voice steady but low. "If it is true," he said, "then I will take responsibility." The words shocked even him, but he could not show weakness. Humans did not run. Humans did not hide. He stood tall, though inside he was drowning. The first sister smirked, her victory clear. The second sister turned away, her hands clenched tight. In that moment, the human realized something. He had not only been trapped, he had lost the trust of the one who truly mattered to him. That night, the council called for investigation. Alien healers with glowing instruments examined the first sister. Their strange tools hummed and shined, searching for signs of life inside her. They announced she was indeed with child. Though the details were strange, the embryo was unstable, different, something the healers could not fully understand. But the first sister used this to her advantage, lifting her chin and declaring, "The child is real, and it will be strong." Whispers spread through the clan like smoke. Some feared the child, saying it was cursed. Others wanted to use it, believing it could be proof of power, and through it all, the human soldier stood in silence, trapped in a web he did not understand. The second sister came to him after the council. Her voice was low, her eyes hard. "Why?" she asked. "Why her? When you knew what she was?" He tried to explain, to tell her it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, but his words felt empty. She shook her head, pain clear in her face. "You were different," she whispered. "I thought you were better, but now I see you are just like the rest." She left him in the shadows, and he felt the weight of his failure crush him. But deep in his mind, doubt began to grow. What if the first sister had lied? What if this was all a trick? The healers said the embryo was strange, unstable, something unnatural, and the way she smiled, the way she controlled the council, it all felt wrong. The human soldier clenched his fists. If this was a trap, he would not let it destroy him. He would find the truth no matter the cost. As the silver moons rose over the alien world, he stood alone, staring into the night sky. The path ahead was dangerous, and his choices had already chained him to a deadly game. But in his heart a fire burned. He would uncover the truth about the child, the sisters, and the clan, because now, survival was not enough. Now he had to fight for his name, his honor, and for the bond that still lingered between him and the second sister. The discovery had been made, but the real war was only beginning. The second sister stood alone on the high balcony of her father's hall. The twin moons shined over the silver forest, casting pale light across her face. She was known for her wisdom, for her calm strength, for being the voice of reason in a clan filled with pride and fire. But tonight her heart was heavy and her thoughts were torn. She had seen the way the human carried himself. He was different from the others who came from the stars. Most humans were loud, greedy, or desperate, but this one walked with dignity. He looked her people in the eye, even when they looked down on him. And in that, she had felt something rare, a spark of respect, even admiration. But now that spark felt broken, crushed by the choice he had made with her sister. In the council, she had remained silent, but inside her spirit burned. Her sister was known for lies, for hunger of power. She had always been dangerous, using charm and cruelty to bend others to her will. The second sister remembered many warnings from her mother before she died. "Beware your sister's fire, it consumes everything it touches." And now, that fire had reached the human, dragging him into a storm. Still, a part of her heart refused to accept it. Could it be true? Could the human she had admired so easily fall into her sister's trap? Or was there more to the story? something hidden beneath the whispers and lies. She turned her eyes toward the human's quarters across the courtyard. He sat alone by the window, his shoulders heavy, his face shadowed. She could sense his pain, his confusion, and though she wanted to stay away, something pulled her toward him. Her steps were silent as she crossed the stone path, her cloak brushing the ground. When she reached his door, she paused, her hand hovering before she finally pushed it open. The human rose quickly, surprised by her presence. "Why are you here?" he asked, his voice low, almost ashamed. She studied him, her eyes sharp but not unkind. "I need to know the truth," she said simply. "Did you choose her, or did she trap you?" He lowered his gaze, the weight of guilt heavy on him. "I was weak," he admitted. "I made a mistake. But I swear to you, I never meant to hurt you." Her heart twisted at his words, for they carried both shame and honesty, yet she could not let her guard down. "My sister has claimed you, and with her claim comes chaos," she said. "Do you understand what this means? Our clan will use this child as a weapon, and you will be the chain that binds it." The human clenched his fists, anger flashing in his eyes. "Then I will break the chain," he said firmly. "If she lied, if this is her trick, I will prove it." His voice carried strength, the kind of strength her people often dismissed in humans. For a moment she saw the fire within him, the courage that made him different, and her heart stirred again. Against her will, but her duty was clear. She could not let her feelings cloud her judgment. The survival of her people came before desire, before love, before anything. Still, she could not silence the thought that perhaps the human's fight was her fight too. Days passed and the clan's tension grew. Warriors whispered in corners, elders debated in secret. Some saw the unborn child as a curse, others as a weapon to rule other clans. The second sister stood at the center of the storm, pulled by two paths, protecting her people, or protecting the human. Her sister, meanwhile, played her role with skill. She walked through the halls with a proud smile, her hand on her stomach. She spoke of the child as if it were already a legend. Every word she spoke tied the human tighter to her, binding him with invisible chains, and each time the second sister saw it, anger boiled within her. One night she confronted her sister in the garden of glowing stones. The air was cold, their cloaks billowed in the night wind. "You are lying," the second sister said, her voice sharp. "I can see it in your eyes." The first sister only laughed, her smile cruel. "You envy me," she said. "You always have, but now the human is mine, and the clan will bow to me." The second sister's hands trembled with rage, but she held her control. "If you bring ruin to this clan, if you bring ruin to him, I will stop you," she swore. Her sister leaned close, her whisper like venom. "Then try," she said before walking away into the shadows. The second sister stood alone, her heart torn, her mind filled with storms. She knew she could not trust her sister, but she also feared the human's weakness. If he truly was bound to her sister, then disaster was certain. But if he could rise above it, if he could prove her wrong, then perhaps there was still hope. She turned her gaze back to the human's quarters. Her choice was clear. Even if it broke every rule of her people, she would stand by him in secret, guide him when others turned against him, because deep in her heart, she felt a truth her people refused to see. Humans were not weak, and this human in particular might be the key to everything. The right sister's dilemma was no longer only about family or duty. It had become a battle between her honor and her heart, and she knew the war ahead would test both. The days after the announcement were filled with storms. The alien clan was divided. Warriors muttered in the training yards. Elders whispered in the high halls. Some demanded the human be executed for dishonor. Others wanted him bound forever to the first sister. Everywhere he walked, eyes followed him, some filled with hatred, some with fear, and some with cruel amusement. The human soldier felt the weight of it all pressing on his shoulders. The whispers, the judgment, the looks of disgust, but he refused to bow. He had made mistakes, yes, but he was still human. And humans did not break. He reminded himself of the words his old commander once said. "When the world turns against you, stand taller, for that is when enemies fear you most." One evening, the alien leader summoned him before the council. The chamber was filled with glowing crystals, and the elders sat in a circle, their eyes sharp like blades. The first sister stood proudly beside them, her hand on her stomach, her smile sharp as ever. The second sister was there too, silent, her gaze steady but unreadable. The leader's voice thundered across the chamber. "You have dishonored our clan, human," he said. "If you are to remain among us, you must prove your worth." The human's jaw tightened. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. The leader raised a long finger toward him. "You will face the trials of fire. The tests of strength, courage, and will, the same trials our warriors endure. If you fail, you will die. If you survive, then perhaps you are not as weak as your kind appears." A murmur spread through the hall. The trials were legendary. Many had died in them, even seasoned alien fighters. The human's chances were small, but he only nodded. "I will face them," he said firmly. The first sister laughed, her voice mocking. "Brave words for a doomed man," she said. But the human did not look at her. His eyes met the second sister's instead for the briefest moment. He thought he saw a spark of something in her gaze, not pity, not anger, but respect. The next morning the trials began. The first was the trial of endurance. He was placed in the burning desert beyond the silver forest. With no food, no water, and no weapons, the suns beat down upon him, his skin burned, his throat dried. Alien warriors watched from the cliffs, waiting to see him collapse, but he walked step after step, his feet sinking into the hot sand, his body screaming in pain. He remembered the deserts of Earth, the endless training his army had put him through. He remembered the words of his people. Pain is not your enemy. Surrender is. And so he endured, every step a message to the watching clan. Humans do not quit. The second trial was the trial of beasts. He was thrown into an arena of stone, where the gates opened and a monstrous creature stepped out. It had scales like iron, claws that dug into the ground, and eyes glowing with hunger. The alien warriors shouted with excitement, expecting the human to be torn apart. But the soldier did not back away. He picked up a broken spear left in the dust. His hands steady, his mind sharp. The beast roared and charged. The human rolled aside, striking at its weak points, fighting not with brute strength but with cunning. The battle was long, bloody, and desperate. But in the end, the creature fell. Its roar fading into silence, the arena shook with gasps, for the human had done what many of their own had failed to do. The final trial was the trial of fire. He was bound to a stone path that crossed through a river of molten lava. The air burned. The heat seared his skin. He was told to walk across barefoot, carrying the weight of heavy chains. Every step tore his flesh, every breath burned his lungs. The first sister watched from above, expecting him to fall. The second sister watched too. Her hands clenched tightly at her sides, but the human soldier gritted his teeth and walked. Step after step, he dragged the chains across the burning path, his eyes fixed on the far side. Pain tore through him, but he refused to fall. With one final cry, he reached the end and collapsed on the cool stone, his body broken but his spirit unyielding. The council sat in silence. The human had survived all 3 trials, something even many aliens could not claim. The leader rose, his face unreadable. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "humans are not as weak as I believed." The second sister's heart pounded, pride swelling inside her despite herself. The first sister's smile faltered, for the man she thought she could control had proven stronger than she imagined. The human soldier rose to his feet, bloody, scarred, but standing tall. He looked at them all, his voice steady. "I will not be your pawn," he said. "If there is a child, I will face that truth. But I will not bow to lies. I am human and I stand on my own." The hall was silent, but in that silence a new fear took root among the clan. The human had proven himself, and now no one knew what he might become. The human soldier had survived the trials, but survival was not victory. Though the clan no longer called him weak, they still whispered behind his back. And the first sister walked through the halls with her hand on her stomach, smiling as if she had already won. But in the quiet corners of the city, doubts began to spread. The alien healers met again in secret. Their glowing instruments showed strange results, patterns they did not understand. The life inside the first sister did not grow as it should. It shifted, unstable, flickering like a fire about to die. Some healers argued it was not even life, but a trick and echo of something unnatural. But the first sister silenced them with threats. She told them if they spoke against her, she would destroy their honor. So they bowed their heads, too afraid to speak the truth. The second sister, however, was not blind. She saw the way her sibling held her stomach too proudly. Too often she saw how her eyes gleamed not with joy, but with hunger for power. And the second sister remembered every cruel game her sister had played in the past. Every lie, every trap, every moment where others had been used and thrown aside. Her heart told her this was no different. One night she went to the human soldier. He was sharpening a blade in his chamber, the glow of alien firelight on his face. "You proved yourself in the trials," she said quietly. "But proving yourself is not enough. If you let her lie control you, then all your strength means nothing." The human looked up, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "I know," he said. "Something feels wrong, I can sense it. But I have no proof." The second sister's gaze hardened. "Then we find proof," she whispered. "Even if it means breaking the laws of our people, together." They began to watch the first sister more closely. They saw her slip away at night. Walking alone into the silver forest, they followed her in silence. Moving like shadows, and there, beneath the glowing trees, she met with figures cloaked in black. Outsiders from another clan. The human's fists clenched as he watched. She spoke with them in low tones, her hand still resting on her stomach. "Keep feeding it," she ordered. "Keep it alive long enough, and the council will believe it is real." The cloaked figures bowed, handing her a small device that pulsed with strange energy. The second sister's eyes widened in horror. It was no child she carried, but something made with forbidden science. The human felt fury burn in his chest. So it was true. She had used him not for love, not for desire, but for her own power. The pregnancy was a weapon, a lie wrapped in flesh. He wanted to storm into the council and reveal everything, but the second sister stopped him. "No," she said. "If you accuse her without proof, they will destroy you. We must take the device." They waited until the cloaked figures left. Then the human leapt from the shadows. "Fast as lightning," the first sister gasped, her smile finally breaking. The human grabbed the device from her hand, its energy burning his skin. "What is this?" He growled, his voice like thunder. But she only laughed, her eyes blazing with rage. "You think you've won, human? Even if you show them, they will not believe you. I am their daughter, their blood, and you are nothing but an outsider." Her words cut deep, but he did not waver. The second sister stepped forward, her voice steady. "Not anymore," she said. "He has proven his strength, and if you think your lies can hold forever, you are wrong." The first sister's face twisted with hatred, but before she could speak again, the human held the device high. "Then let us see who the council believes," he said. The next morning, the council gathered once more. The hall was tense, the air sharp with expectation. The first sister stood tall, her hand on her stomach, her smile ready, but the human stepped forward and placed the device on the stone floor before the elders. "This is her truth," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. The device pulsed, sending waves of light through the hall. The healers gasped, recognizing forbidden energy. The second sister spoke then, her words cutting through the silence. "She has lied to us all. There is no child. Only this machine keeping an illusion alive." Chaos erupted. Warriors shouting, elders slamming their staffs on the stone. The first sister screamed, her voice shrill with fury. "Lies! Lies! He is twisting everything! He fears my child's power!" But the healers confirmed what they saw. The energy was not natural. It was not life. It was a construct, a deception. The first sister's smile was gone, replaced by wild anger. The alien leader rose, his face pale with rage and shame. "You dare deceive your own clan?" he thundered. The first sister pointed at the human. "It is his fault," she cried. "He forced this on me. But no one listened. Her words drowned in the storm of voices. The truth was out, and the web she had spun was unraveling. The human soldier stood tall in the center of the chaos, his body scarred, his spirit unbroken. He had faced trials, beasts, and fire, and now he had faced lies for the first time since arriving. He was not just a human among aliens. He was a warrior, one who had uncovered the truth. But as the council erupted in anger and betrayal, the human felt a chill run down his spine. For even in defeat, the first sister's eyes burned with something darker, a promise of revenge, a promise that this battle was far from over. The truth had been revealed, but the war had only just begun. The council chamber was in chaos. Elders shouted over one another, warriors argued with sharp voices, and the great hall trembled with anger. The first sister stood at the center, her face twisted with rage, her lies stripped bare for all to see. The second sister stood opposite her, calm but firm, her gaze steady on the human, and the human himself stood tall between them, scarred from trials, scarred from battles, yet unbroken. The alien leader slammed his staff against the stone, the sound echoing like thunder. "Enough," he roared. "This madness must end. The honor of our clan lies in ruins, and the balance of our people is broken. This human has been caught between two daughters of my blood, one of truth and one of lies. Now a choice must be made." The words fell heavy into the silence that followed. Every eye in the chamber turned to the human. Some expected him to kneel to the first sister, to accept her claim and bind himself forever. Others believed he should be cast out, exiled into the void, and a few, only a few, looked at the second sister with quiet hope. Perhaps he might choose her. Though such a choice would shatter tradition, the human's chest rose and fell as he breathed deeply. He felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, the weight of two sisters, the weight of his own mistakes. He thought of that night beneath the silver trees, when weakness had bound him to a dangerous path. He thought of the trials, the beast, the fire, the chains, and how he had endured. And he thought of the second sister, the one who had stood by him in secret, the one who saw the truth in his heart. The first sister stepped forward, her voice sharp and commanding. "Choose me," she said. "It was I who carried your child. It was I who claimed you before all. The council may doubt me now, but blood cannot be denied. With me you will have power, protection, and a place in this clan." Her words dripped with poison. "But they carried strength," the council murmured, some nodding, some shaking their heads. Then the second sister spoke, her voice softer but far stronger. "If he chooses lies, then let him go to lies. But if he chooses truth, let him stand with me. I do not offer him power. I do not offer him safety. I offer him only the path of honor, though it may cost us everything." The human's heart pounded in his chest. Two paths lay before him, one of corruption, one of sacrifice. If he chose the first sister, he would live as her prisoner, a pawn in her games. If he chose the second sister, he would make an enemy of half the clan, maybe more, and if he chose neither, he would face exile or death. But one thing was clear: he could not stand silent any longer. He raised his head, his voice carrying through the chamber. "I will not be ruled by lies," he said. "I will not bow to power born from deceit. The first sister sought to use me, to trap me, to twist my honor. But the second sister stood for truth, even when it cost her, even when it wounded her. If I must choose, then I choose her. I choose truth." The chamber erupted in shouts, some in fury, some in shock, some in quiet approval. The first sister screamed, her voice filled with hatred. "No, you cannot deny me. You are mine, human." Her hand glowed with forbidden energy, her rage spilling out like fire. Warriors rushed forward, some to restrain her, some to defend her. But she fought like a storm, her eyes locked on the human with burning fury. "If I cannot have you, then I will destroy you." The second sister stepped in front of the human, her cloak flowing like shadow. Her voice rang out, strong and unshaken. "Then you will face me first." "Sister," she said. The hall went silent, for no one had expected it, blood standing against blood, one sister against the other. The alien leader's face was pale with shock. "This is madness," he whispered, but none moved to stop it. The first sister's rage had gone too far, her honor already shattered, and the second sister, though breaking every law of their people, stood firm. The human placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice low but steady. "If we stand together, we will not fall," he said. She met his eyes, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them, not just alliance, not just duty, but a bond deeper than either had expected. The first sister's scream broke the silence. She lunged forward, her power crackling in the air. The warriors moved back, afraid to step into the storm. The human and the second sister braced themselves, ready for the battle to come. The choice had been made, the path was set. And as the fire of betrayal clashed with the light of truth, the fate of the human, the sisters, and the entire clan hung in the balance. The great hall shook as the first sister's power erupted. Her hands burned with violet fire, her scream echoing through stone walls. The warriors backed away, afraid to face her wrath. The second sister stood firm, her cloak brushing the ground, her eyes filled with steel, and beside her, the human soldier stood tall, not with alien power but with human strength. "You will regret this," the first sister hissed, her gaze locked on the human, her voice like venom. "I gave you a place, I gave you my claim, and you dare throw it away? If I cannot bind you, I will break you." The second sister raised her blade, its edge glowing faintly with the ancient runes of her people. You sought to twist him into your chain, she said coldly. But he is no one's prisoner if you strike. You strike against both of us, the first sister laughed. Sharp and cruel. Then so be it, I will burn you both. And this hall will remember me in fire. Her hands flared, and she hurled a storm of violet energy toward them. The human grabbed a fallen warrior's shield, raising it high. The blast struck. The metal shuddered, heat burned his skin, but he held his ground. The shield cracked, smoke rising, yet he did not fall. The second sister charged forward, her blade cutting through the air. Sparks clashed against fire, steel against power. The first sister fought like fury itself. Her rage endless, her strikes wild yet deadly. The second sister countered with discipline, each swing precise, each step controlled. And the human, though weaker than both, did not stand idle. He moved where she faltered. He shielded where she stumbled. Together they became one force, human will and alien strength bound in defiance. The council watched in stunned silence. Never before had they seen such a battle. Never before had they seen a human fight like this. Not as prey, not as pawn, but as warrior. One elder whispered, "Perhaps this is why the stars sent him." The first sister roared, her power growing unstable. The runes on the walls cracked, the floor split. Light spilling from every wound in the stone. "You think you can defeat me?" she screamed. "I carry the blood of our people. I carry his child." The words shook the chamber, but the human's voice cut through her rage. "You carry nothing but lies," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You wanted me as your weapon, but I am no one's weapon. I am human, and I choose my own path." The first sister's fury peaked. She gathered all her strength into one final strike. A massive surge of violet fire, brighter than the moon's, deadly enough to tear the hall apart. The council cried out. Warriors fled to the walls, but the human stepped forward, planting his feet, shield raised. "Together," he shouted, and the second sister joined him, her blade glowing brighter. The fire struck, light and sound exploded, yet through the storm, they stood unbroken. When the smoke cleared, the first sister lay on the floor, drained and broken. Her fire had consumed itself. Her lies had crumbled. The human and the second sister stood side by side. Scorched but alive, the hall was silent. Every alien staring in awe. The leader of the clan rose slowly, his voice heavy with both grief and respect. "It is done," he said. "The false path is ended. The human has stood where even our strongest would have fallen, and the second daughter has defended truth at the cost of blood." Some elders bowed their heads. Others whispered. The clan was divided still. But one thing was clear. The human was no longer an outsider. He had proven himself not by blood, not by claim, but by will. The second sister turned to him, her eyes softer now. "You risked everything," she said quietly. "Not for power, not for glory, but for truth. And for me." He met her gaze, his lips tight with exhaustion, but a faint smile breaking through. "Humans don't walk away from those they care for," he said. Her hand brushed against his, a silent bond stronger than any oath. The first sister was taken away, her power stripped, her name stained forever. The clan would debate for years what her punishment should be. But the human no longer cared for her shadow. He had chosen his path, and it was with the one who had stood in truth. As the silver moons rose high above the alien world, the human and the second sister stood together on the balcony of the great hall. The stars stretched endless before them, vast and unknown. "This is not the end," she whispered. "No," he said, his voice steady. "This is only the beginning." For the human had survived fire, lies and betrayal. He had won not through strength, but through choice, and in that moment the clan, the sisters, and even the stars themselves knew one truth. Humanity was not weak, humanity was not prey, humanity was something greater.